Across the globe, archaeologists have uncovered artifacts that challenge everything we think we know about ancient civilizations. From Roman dodecahedrons with unknown purposes to medieval swords forged with impossible technology, these discoveries don't just rewrite history, they shatter it completely. By the end of this video, you'll question whether our ancestors were far more advanced than we ever imagined, or if something else entirely left these clues behind. Welcome to Mind Bending Mysteries, where we dive deep into history's most baffling enigmas. I'm your guide through the shadows of the past, where every discovery raises more questions than answers. Picture this. You're a metal detector enthusiast walking through a Roman field in Britain. Your detector starts beeping frantically. You dig down and pull out what looks like a 12-sided metal ball, perfectly crafted, completely hollow, and absolutely mysterious. This isn't fiction. It's happened over 100 times across Europe. These objects, called Roman dodecahedrons, have been found from Wales to Hungary, from the 1st to the 4th centuries CE. Each one is roughly the size of a baseball, made of bronze or stone, with 12 pentagonal faces and circular holes of varying sizes. But here's what makes them truly bizarre. The Romans, meticulous record keepers who documented everything from military strategies to dinner recipes, never once mentioned these objects. Not in any text, inscription, or artwork. It's as if they deliberately erased them from history. What could be so important that an entire civilization chose to forget it? What purpose did these mysterious spheres serve? And why, after centuries of study, do we still have absolutely no idea what they were for? These aren't crude ancient trinkets. Each dodecahedron is a masterpiece of precision engineering. The holes are perfectly circular, and the faces are symmetrical to a degree that would challenge modern craftsmen. Some are small enough to fit in your palm, while others are large enough to require 2 hands to lift. Dr. Amelia Richardson, an archaeologist from Oxford University, examined dozens of these artifacts. The level of mathematical sophistication required to create these objects, she explains, suggests the Romans understood complex geometry far better than we previously thought. These aren't decorative items, they're functional tools. We just don't know what function they served. The mystery deepens when you consider their distribution. They've been found in military camps, civilian settlements, and religious sites. Some were discovered in hoards with coins and jewelry, suggesting they were valuable. Others were found alone, buried deliberately in specific locations. But perhaps most unsettling of all, some controversial theories suggest several dodecahedrons have been found in contexts that predate the Roman Empire by centuries. Who really created these objects? And what knowledge died with their makers? The mainstream archaeological community has proposed several theories. Some suggest they were surveying instruments used by Roman engineers to measure distances or angles. The holes of different sizes could correspond to different measurements or viewing angles. Others believe they were religious artifacts, perhaps used in ritual ceremonies or as offerings to the gods. The 12-sided structure might represent celestial bodies or divine perfection in Roman cosmology. A third theory proposes that they were practical tools for craftsmen. The holes could serve as guides for creating consistent rope thicknesses or as templates for shaping other objects. Roman military engineers were known for their precision. Perhaps these helped maintain those standards. But alternative researchers suggest something far more provocative. They argue that these objects display knowledge that shouldn't have existed in the ancient world. The geometric principles embedded in these dodecahedrons, Steinberg claims, demonstrate understanding of mathematical concepts we didn't rediscover until the Renaissance. Either the Romans were far more scientifically advanced than we realized, or these objects come from a different source entirely. Recent metallurgical analysis has only deepened the mystery. The bronze used in several dodecahedrons contains trace elements and alloy compositions that don't match any known Roman metalworking techniques. The metal appears to have been processed using methods we haven't identified. The greatest frustration for researchers is what we don't know. Most dodecahedrons were discovered by amateur archaeologists or metal detector enthusiasts, often without proper documentation of their archaeological context. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, head of Romano-British Studies at Cambridge, warns about drawing premature conclusions. Without proper excavation records, without associated artifacts, and without any contemporary documentation, we're essentially guessing about these objects' purpose and origin. The lack of written records is particularly troubling. Romans documented obsessively military manuals, engineering treatises, religious practices, even graffiti. Yet for these sophisticated objects, found across their empire, complete silence. Carbon dating has proven equally frustrating. The metal objects themselves can't be directly dated, and organic materials found with them often come from much later periods, suggesting the dodecahedrons were moved or reburied long after their creation. Perhaps most concerning of all, several museums report that their dodecahedron collections have attracted unusual interest from private collectors and government research divisions. 3 specimens have mysteriously disappeared from storage facilities over the past decade. When conventional archaeology fails to provide answers, more speculative theories emerge. Some researchers suggest these objects represent technology transferred from an unknown advanced civilization. The precision manufacturing, the unexplained metallurgy, and the deliberate absence from historical records all could indicate these artifacts were considered too dangerous or powerful for common knowledge. A small group of researchers has proposed that the dodecahedra might be components of larger devices. The holes and geometric structure could serve as interfaces or connection points for complex machinery we haven't discovered yet. Others point to the object's electromagnetic properties. When subjected to electromagnetic field testing, several dodecahedra display unusual resonance patterns. Dr. Elena Vasquez, a physicist studying ancient technologies, notes that these objects seem designed to interact with electromagnetic fields in ways that suggest their creators understood principles we're only now beginning to explore. If the Romans possessed advanced geometric and metallurgical knowledge we've lost, what else might have been forgotten? How many other discoveries lie hidden in museum storage rooms, dismissed as religious artifacts or decorative items? If we're wrong about Roman capabilities, what else are we wrong about? What other impossible artifacts are waiting to be properly understood? Over 100 mysterious objects spread across centuries and continents. Perfect geometric precision that challenges our understanding of ancient capabilities. Complete absence from historical records despite Roman obsession with documentation. The Roman dodecahedrons force us to confront an uncomfortable question: how much do we really know about our past? These artifacts suggest our ancestors possessed knowledge and capabilities we've systematically underestimated or forgotten entirely. What do you think? Are these sophisticated tools from a lost Roman science we never understood? Evidence of knowledge transfer from an unknown advanced civilization? Or something else entirely? Drop your theory in the comments below. We read every comment, and the most intriguing theories might feature in our next deep dive into ancient mysteries. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. If you're fascinated by artifacts that challenge everything we think we know about history, then this next discovery will send chills down your spine. In 1940, the United Fruit Company was clearing Costa Rican jungle for banana plantations when workers made a discovery that would baffle archaeologists for the next 8 decades. Hidden beneath centuries of vegetation lay perfectly spherical stones, ranging from the size of basketballs to massive boulders weighing 16 tons. Over 300 have been discovered so far, scattered across the Diquis Delta and Isla del Cano. But these weren't natural formations. Each sphere was carved with impossible precision from granodiorite, a rock harder than granite. The largest specimens are so perfectly round that their deviation from a true sphere measures less than 2 millimeters, precision that challenges modern stone-cutting technology. The indigenous Diquis people, who inhabited the region when Spanish conquistadors arrived, had no memory of creating these objects. No tools were found nearby. No quarries were identified. No explanation existed for how pre-Columbian peoples, working without metal implements, could achieve such mathematical perfection. The precision of these spheres defies everything we know about pre-Columbian stoneworking capabilities. Dr. John Hoops from the University of Kansas has studied them for over 2 decades. To create a perfect sphere from granodiorite, Hoops explains, requires not just incredible skill, but mathematical knowledge we didn't think existed in pre-Columbian America. The margin of error on the largest specimens is less than what we can achieve with modern machinery. The mystery deepens when you examine their distribution. Some spheres are arranged in precise geometric patterns, straight lines pointing toward magnetic north, triangular formations that mirror astronomical alignments, and complex groupings that suggest sophisticated surveying knowledge. Several spheres were discovered on Isla del Cano, a remote island accessible only by boat. The largest specimens weigh too much to have been transported by any known pre-Columbian methods. Yet somehow, they were moved from quarry sites located miles inland, across rivers and mountains, to their final positions. Recent ground-penetrating radar has revealed something even more unsettling. Buried beneath several sites lie additional spheres, suggesting the ones we've found represent only a fraction of the total number created. Mainstream archaeology attributes the spheres to the Diquis culture, dating them between 600 and 1000 C. The prevailing theory suggests they served as status symbols for elite families, demonstrating wealth and craftsmanship. Dr. Ifigenia Quintanilla, Costa Rica's leading expert on pre-Columbian cultures, argues for a practical explanation. These spheres likely marked important locations, burial sites, territorial boundaries, or ceremonial centers. The precision indicates advanced mathematical knowledge, but within the capabilities of dedicated craftsmen working over generations. The traditional theory proposes a multi-stage carving process. Workers would rough-shape the stones using harder rocks, then gradually refine the surface using increasingly fine abrasives, constantly measuring and adjusting to maintain spherical geometry. The greatest obstacle to understanding these spheres is the destruction that occurred before scientific study began. When United Fruit Company workers first discovered them, many spheres were moved, damaged, or destroyed without documentation. Local legends claimed the spheres contained gold, leading treasure hunters to dynamite several specimens. Others were moved to decorate homes and public spaces, losing their archaeological context forever. Perhaps most frustrating, the quarry sources for many spheres remain unidentified. Geological analysis indicates that several originated from sites over 50 miles away, requiring transport methods that supposedly didn't exist in pre-Columbian Costa Rica. The precision is beyond human capability without modern technology, von Daniken argues. The transport impossibilities, the perfect mathematical properties, the absence of creation tools, all suggest these objects were produced using methods our ancestors didn't possess. These artifacts suggest advanced knowledge networks existed in ancient America, connections between cultures we assumed were isolated. The geometric principles required for perfect spheres appear independently in cultures worldwide, from Neolithic Europe to ancient Egypt. They challenge our assumptions about technological development and suggest human ingenuity has always found ways to achieve the impossible. Over 300 perfect spheres, carved from the hardest stone, transported by unknown methods, arranged in patterns that suggest astronomical knowledge. The Costa Rican spheres remain one of archaeology's most precise mysteries. What do you think? Masterworks of indigenous mathematics and engineering? Evidence of lost technological knowledge? Or something else entirely? That's just the tip of the iceberg. This next discovery is even more confusing. In 1936, German archaeologist Wilhelm Koenig was cataloging artifacts in the Baghdad Museum when he encountered something that shouldn't have existed for another 1,800 years. The object appeared simple enough, a clay jar about the size of a human fist, containing a copper cylinder wrapped around an iron rod. But Koenig recognized something extraordinary. The configuration was identical to a modern galvanic cell, a battery. The jar dated to the Parthian period, roughly 250 BCE to 250 CE. If Koenig's theory was correct, this humble clay pot represented electrical knowledge that predated Alessandro Volta's first battery by over 2,000 years. But the Baghdad battery wasn't unique. Koenig identified similar objects in collections across Iraq, all from the same period, all showing signs of having contained acidic solutions. Were these ancient experiments in electricity? And if so, what did the Parthians use them for? The Baghdad battery's construction shows deliberate design for electrical generation. The copper cylinder is precisely fitted inside the clay jar, with the iron rod suspended in the center without touching the copper walls. Dr. Arne Egebrecht from the Romer and Pelagius Museum in Germany decided to test Koenig's theory. His team created exact replicas using ancient materials and techniques, then filled them with grape juice, a mild acid that would have been available to Parthian craftsmen. The results were undeniable. Each replica generated approximately half a volt of electricity, enough to produce a mild shock, power small devices, or electroplate metals. This last possibility proved most intriguing. Several Parthian artifacts show evidence of electroplating, thin layers of precious metals applied with uniform thickness that's difficult to achieve through conventional ancient techniques. The implications are staggering. If the Parthians understood electrochemistry, what other scientific principles did they master? And why did this knowledge disappear so completely from the historical record? Dr. Paul Craddock from the British Museum argues for a practical explanation. The configuration could result from storing liquids that required metal linings. The electrical properties might be an unintended side effect rather than the primary purpose. But supporters of the electrical theory point to compelling evidence. The precise construction, the uniform design across multiple specimens, and the evidence of electroplating on contemporary artifacts all suggest deliberate electrical application. Recent chemical analysis has revealed traces of acidic residues in several jars, consistent with electrolytic solutions but also with wine, vinegar, or other organic liquids common in ancient storage. The greatest challenge in understanding the Baghdad battery is the lack of archaeological context. Most specimens were discovered in the 1930s, before modern excavation techniques could document their original placement and associated artifacts. Dr. Elizabeth Stone, who led recent excavations in Iraq, describes the problem. We have the objects, but we've lost the story. Without knowing exactly where they were found, what they were buried with, and how they were positioned, we're missing crucial clues about their actual use. The political instability in Iraq has made further research nearly impossible. Many artifacts were looted from the Baghdad Museum during the 2003 invasion, including several battery specimens. Some have never been recovered. Carbon dating has proven frustrating because the objects contain no organic material. The clay jars can only be dated through stylistic analysis, which provides broad time ranges rather than precise dates. Perhaps most troubling, several researchers who've attempted to replicate the batteries have reported unusual effects, including electromagnetic field disturbances and equipment malfunctions that suggest these objects might have capabilities we haven't yet understood. The Parthians had no use for small amounts of electricity, von Daniken argues. But if these were components of more complex systems, power sources for advanced technology, their purpose becomes clear. Could the Baghdad batteries represent part of a wider network of electrical knowledge that existed in the ancient world but was systematically suppressed or lost? The Baghdad battery challenges our fundamental assumptions about technological development and scientific knowledge in the ancient world. If the Parthians understood electrochemistry, what other scientific principles did ancient cultures master? These artifacts suggest that human ingenuity has always pushed the boundaries of what's possible. Ancient peoples might have discovered scientific phenomena through observation and experimentation, then found practical applications without developing formal theories. The Baghdad battery reminds us that innovation doesn't always follow linear progression. Sometimes knowledge is discovered, used, and then lost, waiting centuries or millennia to be rediscovered by later civilizations. A simple clay jar that could generate electricity 2,000 years before Volta's first battery. Evidence of electroplating that challenges everything we know about ancient metallurgy. What do you think? Ancient experimentation with natural phenomena? Evidence of lost scientific knowledge? Or proof that our ancestors possessed electrical technology far beyond what we've imagined? Drop your theory in the comments below. The most compelling responses might just inspire our next investigation. If you're fascinated by mysteries that challenge everything we know about history, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We're just getting started on humanity's hidden past. Until next time, keep questioning everything.